Another day, another woman who put on some band trinkets to feel a little more like herself. Welcome to the 2025 Grammys, or rather, Annah's 2025 Grammys, because Lord knows the artists I want to get awards don't get them. So, I hope you listen to some great music this year. I know I did, and I wanted to highlight it today. So this is going to be a new tradition, and I did the heavy lifting. Not really. I feel like the Grammys gave me some of my content. My Wrapped gave me some of my content, and yeah, so here we are. I hope you enjoy. I wanted to give a ton of honorable mentions to albums and EPs that came out this year. I am a huge album gal. I know some people are just single people who collect a ton of random trinkets of songs, but I am very much an album listener. I love a story, I love a narrative, I love something that has themes and recurring moments, and I can't imagine not being an album listener. So obviously, I can't talk about all of them, and that is why we have all of these honorable mentions today. So without further ado, I would like to give an honorable mention to Evergreen by Strings and Heart. I would like to give one to Man Oh Man by Martin Luke Brown. This one addresses a lot of toxic masculinity. It's fantastic. Midwest Western by Jacob Montague, a local artist. This is all instrumental for your soul. The First Hello by Last Night Saved My Life. This is a band with a personal connection, and they are for fans of 5 Seconds of Summer and the band Camino mashed together. So you will be in good company there. I Quit by Haim. This is probably the most popular that everyone enjoyed. Parody of Pleasure by Lydia Knight, the former lead singer of The Regrets. Does some fantastic pop songs in there. Sobville, episodes 3 and 4 by Arrested Youth. I almost typed out Arrested Development. Never Always by the band Camino, who I got to see via work this year as well. The Dream by the new power duo, The Favors, made up of Ash and Phineas. Fantastic. Best thing to come out of 2025 for the first time. It Is Well by King's Kaleidoscope. Arguably and easily my favorite band. Most played this year. Not for Lack of Trying by Dodie. Wonderful, wonderful artist that I have followed for a very long time. A little bit more somber than I was in the mood for, but very thoughtful and intentional as always. And I love the last track. This Is My Father's World, also King's Kaleidoscope. And Lo-Fi on the Mount by Alabaster Co., which is spiritual instrumental music for Christian meditations. As you can kind of glance from all of my honorable mentions, my niche is very much in the pop rock genres. That's just where I thrive. Indie rock, alternative a little bit. But yeah, I like the emo kids who are very introspective and also goofy and a little quirky and weird. A little bit of Wallflowers. Those are my people. If you listen to totally different music, that's okay. So now we're going to get into my Wrapped recap because I just thought it would be interesting. My top 5 albums, 2 of them are going to get awards today, so those are going to remain question mark mysteries. Those are also the 2 albums from 2025 on my top albums, and they took numbers 2 and 4 in the top played slots. My number 1 was The Process by Judah and the Lion, which came out in 2024. And this one is something I would recommend to everyone. It goes through the 5 stages of grief. Literally, each stage is like a transition from the previous stage to the next stage. And then there's songs in between. I think there's about 3 songs per stage. And they have a deluxe edition, which adds a song to each stage. It's very satisfying. It's very, balanced throughout the stages, which I really appreciate. And it is something that can be used in so many ways if you just need to play it on repeat. I find that I need to play particular sections over and over. Big on denial, big on anger. It's like the ideal coping mechanism that I wish I could give to every single therapist. Truly. So, because I can't, I'm giving it to you. And then you can give it to your therapist to give to more people. So, that's my top album. The 3rd and 5th slots are amazing because they are 2 of the Hunger Games movie soundtrack albums. Number 3 was the Catching Fire album, and number 5 was the Hunger Games album. And 10 out of 10 recommend. This is because Hey Mitch's book came out this year, Sunrise on the Reaping. Favorite book in the series. Probably my favorite character in the series, especially after reading the book. And so I really enjoyed having the immersive rereading experience and then the reading experience of Sunrise on the Reaping this year. Unfortunately, I didn't have the ability to listen to the movie soundtrack because it's not out for another year. So instead, I listened to all of the Hunger Games soundtracks while reading Hey Mitch's new book. And it will not be the same as when there's inevitably an actual dedicated soundtrack for this book, or movie rather, but that I will use to reread the book. But 10 out of 10 recommend the immersive experience. It makes it so much more painful and emotional, and that's the fresh emotion that I feel the Hunger Games should always have. My top 5 songs of the year, of course, I had a wonderful playlist given to me of my top 100, but my top 5, 3 of these are from one EP, which is obviously my favorite EP of the year, which I will get to. So 2 through 4 are from the EP, which I'll talk about shortly. The 5th song is a track off my favorite album, which we'll talk about. Could you imagine what it is? The first song, though, is completely separate, and we need to give her some time right now. The top track of my year, and the woman I love the most out of all the pop women out there, was just saying something, is Orla Gartland. Her song, Little Chaos. I have to be partial to Orla because she is Irish, and I'm Irish American. I'm very high percentage Irish American, and Little Chaos is, in my opinion, the epitome of embracing being an Irish woman. Orla, I love you so much. Thank you for all that you do. You have so many songs in my top playlist, and this one is just the joy of being literally small and feisty. I think it represents me well in my large emotions, so my large angst. So I do stand by it. Top artists I kind of already said, for my Wrapped anyway, who my top artist was, and that is King's Kaleidoscope. Okay, close second, especially because I listened to them a ton outside of streaming as well. 21 Pilots. I love both of these artists. I feel in my brain they are connected. Even though one of them is much more explicit hymns and the other is not. But somehow, I swear these bands are siblings. Their aesthetics are so creative. I think I'm biased because I know that they have the same values and they have the same belief systems. So, in my opinion, King's Kaleidoscope is just a more outwardly expressive version of 21 Pilots. They both are very alternative in the way that they mix instrumentation. So I have to love both of them. Like, I love instrumental experimentation. I love when I can't predict the sounds that are going to come next or the syncopation that's going to come next. And I think that's also just me being a nerdy musician there. I love variety. I love when you think the chorus is going to go exactly the same and then it doesn't. And you're like, oh, that just like tickled my ears. I love it. And both of these bands are so good at mixing it up right when you think they're not going to do anything new. And they do, and it keeps it fresh, and it keeps it fun, and it keeps it high energy the entire time. I like that their music is predictable but unpredictable because it shows that there's faith in moments of unpredictability instead of just being safe in full predictability. There's a lot to be said about faith in the way that they do production. I find the deepest analysis in both of these bands' music. So I don't know that anyone's ever gonna top them in any given year, to be totally honest. But we'll see. Who knows? A year from now, I might totally shock everyone, including myself. The third artist, which, again, this is not normal, but it was James Newton Howard, because he did all the Hunger Games music, and I listened to those albums a billion times as I was reading the book. So, there you go. When I was trying to guess who my top was, I was like, could you imagine? I was asking people to vote between King's Kaleidoscope and 21 Pilots because I knew those would be top. I was like, could you imagine if it was James Newton Howard? But no, he wasn't. He took third, which I would say is really impressive and cool for a composer who's just a symphonic guy amidst these angsty artists. And then number 4, we have my other favorite band that I'm not surprised is up here, which is Wallows. I'm so glad they've gained so much momentum the past 5 years. It makes me very, very happy. I'm very prideful about saying I've been there since the beginning, but it really is not hard to do when everyone enjoyed Dylan Minette's acting. So here we are. They deserve every bit of airtime because they really understand my emotional world in a way that is scarily accurate, like all the time. And then number 5, as you can imagine, for my top played album in my Wrapped is Judah and the Lion, who is more like a cousin to King's K and 21 Pilots. But definitely still in the family, you know, a little more Mando and banjo and a little more folk pop, but still a lot of sparkly, diversified instrumentation and very raw, honest lyrics. We love self-aware artists, and that's who all of these people are. So there you go. There's me in a nutshell. I've talked about this with books, but art is never something I use to escape. It's something I use to understand myself and other people better. It's something I use to empathize. And in the case of all of my favorite things, in a way, music is an avenue through which I see advocacy. Like, these artists advocate for who I am or things that I stand for, or, like, music is very much a tool that is bigger than me, that gives me introspection and gives me reflection. And when I don't know how to explain myself to people, I will say, hey, please listen to this song, because that will help you understand when I don't have the words. And I think that's really cool. That's why I love music. Let's hand out some awards. The best music video goes to me. Like, all I have is my lotion bottle. The best music video goes to City Walls by 21 Pilots. Me pretending to also be the receivers. I mean, the fact that 21 Pilots dropped $1 million alone on this video. Come on, everyone. Come on. Can we please have a standing ovation? Oh my gosh. This video wrapped up a story that the band has been telling for over a decade, and the video itself referenced several music videos they have made over the years as well. I've just never known a feat like this personally amidst the artists that I've listened to. There's people who put out 1 billion albums like Taylor Swift, right? But I've never seen someone make a cohesive story over so many years with characters and an entire world and magic system and creatures. The amount of creativity 21 Pilots has is unlike anyone else, in my opinion, in the music industry, and it is painful to me how overlooked that is. Not because they need industry recognition. I know they don't even want it, but for artistry's sake, for the sake of art and people who love art, I want this to have airtime. But I love music videos, and they deserve more attention for the beauty and the crews that make them happen. This was a crew to rival a literal movie. Do yourself a favor. Go watch this video. Actually, it probably won't make sense because you won't have the full story's context. It's like reading the last chapter of a book. But they have a playlist on their channel where you can watch the entire story through music videos. So go find that. Check it out. Okay. Best new artist to me. I have two, kind of, but only one of them is a true answer because the other one was like a return to after a very long time. So the one I had not heard at all before 2025 is Jackie Hill Perry, who I've known as a Christian speaker, who I've known as a Christian author, Christian podcaster, and I only just dipped into her music this year. She does hip hop, and it is fantastic. It is so well crafted, and she's such a poet. So it's a joy to listen to. I am enjoying every single one of her songs, so had to mention her. And then the return to artist that I also am enjoying all of their songs is Cage the Elephant. I have a friend who loves them, and so I knew they were coming to where I work, so I got to see them, and I realized as I listened to them the entire drive to work that I love every single song, and was like, why have I not been listening to them? Because if I, like, there's there's no way I can't listen to an artist when I'm like, every single song is hitting. So, was a little embarrassed that I let them go for so long, really, since like 2017. So it had been, 8 years since I listened to them last. Well, that was a mistake, and I'm never going to go that long not listening to them again. So don't worry, I'm regularly listening to them now and enjoying them. So there you go. Shout out for the best debut album. This can only go to one debut album. This is first full-length album, Michigander by Michigander. Yes, absolutely. Michigander is Michigander's indie rock. Are we surprised? No, we're not. Michigander grows from the likes of Manchester Orchestra, who they opened for, and Midwest emo, like Reliant K, who they got to play a show with this year. By the way, I was very excited for them. Michigander's debut album covers so many things. It covers anxiety and mental health. It covers people pleasing. It covers politics and tension in America. It covers authenticity versus fakeness in culture. And so many other things. Reminiscing on people, nostalgia. Those are themes I'm very partial to. So it had truly everything. Love for family. It was a very well-rounded album that I would recommend for the sake of being a lyrics person who enjoys when it feels like everyone has been validated through a piece of music. So this will touch everyone in relation to something that you need. So even if the whole album is not for you, I guarantee there will be one track on this album that is for you. So at least listen to the album, find which track is your track, and then save it to your library. You're welcome. The song of the year that was the most autobiographical. I don't know if that's the right word for it, because obviously I did not write the song. Biographical song. A song that I felt was straight out of my diary. And that is Not Alone by Wallows. I mean, really, there's not much else to say for this award because the award speaks for itself. So anyway, if you listen to this song, I feel really exposed. In general, though, the best single of the year, a song that was released on its own, the one that I feel like I've listened to the most is Hidden Further by Corey Hale, featuring Abby Holiday, who's next to Orla, like my other angsty girl. This song is the epitome of angst and just peak moodiness and pensivity. There's something about Abby's music or anything she partners on that is not just Midwest emo, but it like encapsulates this feeling of nostalgia, of like stopping a moment in time and meditating on it. And that's just the best way I can describe it. She does that really well, and she always stops me in my tracks and makes me pay attention for a couple minutes. And yeah, her work just like touches me very specifically. Corey does a great job as well. Their vocals blend really beautifully together. It's very entrancing. The best EP of the year are my boys Wallows. Their More EP came out this year, and honestly, their previous full-length album they released last, Model, was not as much of my vibe. I think it was a little more experimental of an album in terms of being less cohesive as an album with less musical themes, which is not a bad thing, but like that's not what I want from albums in general. I like themes, I like recurring moments, I like callbacks. And so it didn't quite satiate that normal craving I have in an album, but this EP came around and it was like, oh, we're back in action with what I really appreciate in an album. And so there's even a song and then a reprise of the song at the end. And what I love about Wallows that I would say is their signature, especially in this EP, is they have a very romantic feel. They all love the Beatles, and you can just tell because something about the way they process through their lyrics is very old school in a charming way. It just feels like a breath of fresh air from other romantic pop music that I listen to, because it's a lot more thoughtful and it's a lot more self-reflective, but also, honestly, compared to other male artists I listen to, the way they process romantic feelings is a lot more vulnerable than a lot of the other male artists that I listen to, and that's very refreshing to me. They're not trying to act bigger than they are. They're not trying to, like, I don't know, like, garner anything other than honesty, and I just love how they breathe authenticity, because it's not trite and it's not overinflated. You can just tell there's no ego. And then the album of the year, as you can imagine, based on the music video, shout out, is Breach by 21 Pilots. This was their final chapter in their novel of a story about Clancy in a world called Trench, in a city called Dima. It has everything to do with mental health. It has everything to do with Jesus Christ. It has everything to do with relationships and hope. So many things. Breach as an album is very raw in that it is not just wrapping up a story, but it's meditating on uncertainty of what is next. And I feel like that's their present now with their hiatus. So I really appreciated Tyler's outpouring of authenticity. It's the theme. That is the theme among all of these. And I appreciate that it translates well to the story, but it builds a bridge between them having very different life experiences than maybe you and I. And yet we have so many commonalities that are touched upon. I really like how Tyler is always trying to build bridges instead of separating himself from the average Joe. So he did it really, really well. And it's a very relatable album. With a lot of support from loved ones and people. It is very much an album of collaboration, but more than that, what I love about Breach is it feels like it's an album for Tyler and Josh first and foremost, and especially after everything they've given with this story for so long, it deserves to just be an encapsulation of who they are as people, and that makes me the happiest of all. Especially as, you know, the story started when they were much younger and their position in the industry looked so different with Blurry Face and everything. So I'm very proud of what they've done, but especially of where they are now. And I hope all of their younger selves can be proud of them too. it might look less flashy, but I think they've truly made it now. And then I did want to just also say, like, proudest fan moments in the industry this year. Two of them are 21 Pilots, what can I say? But I did want to give a shout out. I love Olivia Dean, and I have known her for quite a long time now. I didn't check, like, when exactly I started listening to her, but I definitely remember posting about her around, like, 2019, I believe. So to see the upsurge of people listening to her gives me so much joy. I've always adored her vocals. I am so glad people are enjoying her essence. It's so bubbly and joyful and classy, and I think she has a good shot at winning a Grammy, and I'm really hoping and looking forward to her probably winning a Grammy. She deserves it so much. She's always just been so true to herself, and I appreciate the petite representation so much, and her demeanor is infectious. It's awesome. I love it. 21 Pilots finished Clancy's story. It really was such a feat, and what not everyone might know about them is they don't just put out music or even put out music videos that they put so much detail into, but they also do so many other things for their fans. So this is one of their collector's editions of their album, and I just want to show you how intricate they are, because this really sets them apart for me. So there were 3 different collector's editions based on characters in their stories. So this one is based on Josh's character, the Torchbearer. As you can see, there's a little TB there cut off, but that's what it stands for, is Torchbearer. And so this is additional information on the character. This was a little map representative of the city of Dima. You have the actual disc, and then under it, not everything's in here, but there was a bandana. There were multiple stickers. Some of them I've already put in different places, but I have a couple more. There's a double-sided poster in here. And what I love about a lot of my favorite artists is they also have a love for visual art in general. So the fact that I got a picture pamphlet, I love it. They're so intentional about all of their art and the photos that they choose to create and share. I'm always just astounded that a lot of artists don't just do and present and enjoy one art, but they enjoy, like, every single type of art and present all of it. And I would say 21 Pilots is also one of the first artists I think of when I think of artists who genuinely love and convey their love for every single art form. They do stunts, and they write stories, and they craft characters, and they craft the live show, and put the songs together, produce the songs. Wild, wild, wild. And then additionally, this was 1 decade of Blurry Face, so they got to celebrate that a little bit before the new album overtook everything. But yeah, they've really left quite the legacy, and that doesn't mean they're done. Yeah, it's crazy how fast time goes, and to just look back and see, like, how different they are from 10 years ago, and how different I am from 10 years ago, and how songs from 10 years ago can evolve and grow in significance or meaning so much. I would not be who I am without that album, as I would not be who I am without this new album and every album in between, and I am just so blessed that I've been given so many 21 Pilots albums, because they are like an old friend giving me a hug after a long day, and it's so timely every time. So I wanted to just wrap up this video with hopes for new music in 2026. Who am I hoping and or thinking I will see come up for me in 2026? Well, hopefully I discover some new artists that I enjoy very much. I have a huge to be listened to playlist, which I have not made progress on in like 2 months. So oopsie. So I'll be doing more of that. But the one I'm confident in is Louis Tomlinson's gonna have some new music. And I love Louis Tomlinson. I love him as a person. And I think his music's gonna be so fun because it's gonna be more upbeat than it's been in the past, even though I love the angst too. I'm very much an angsty person, as you can tell. But really excited for some high energy Louis Tomlinson coming my way. The other ones I am hoping to see my very small and underrated man, Boy Willows, come out of hiding. I really hope so. He said he was going to have new music soon, like almost a year ago now. So obviously, don't want to rush a good thing. But I'm hoping that means I will glimpse him in the new year. Who knows? But maybe we'll finally have the much anticipated Harry Styles #4 in 2026. I know that would probably be like the most anticipated, right? If I'm lucky, this one might be too much of wishful thinking. Obviously no pressure, because I know there's the irony of the end of her previous album. But if Billie wanted to put anything out, I will be very excited. I also saw Judah and the Lion this year. Oh, that was the other thing. I was going to do recap of the shows that I saw this year. So barring work, the shows that I intentionally saw this year, I saw Wallows this year. Unfortunately, it was before the More EP came out. So I was bummed once that came out, and I loved all of the songs. But I still obviously loved the concert and loved all the songs. Got to sing some of the newer songs that I hadn't heard live yet. It was great. They always do a little bit of some different pizzazz at each show, so that was fun. I saw Judah and the Lion, which I really needed to just process and scream that Grief album, so that was so timely, so emotive. There Goes Nugget on the bookshelf. And then I saw Michigander just a week ago. That was a small acoustic show. The 6th time I'd seen him. I've seen him as many times as 21 Pilots. So, yes, that was fantastic. And it was fun to hear some of his debut album because I love it so much. But yes, so at the concert, which is why all of that came up, Judah mentioned that they had some more music brewing, which is like, okay, now that we've processed the grief, where do we go from here? And so I'm like, I'm ready for some more upbeat post-grief music. So whenever that does come, if it is 2026, I'm ready. And then finally, as a joke, but also as a very happy fan, just wanted to say I'm excited for Felix Dunn's debut album in 2026. And I hope you are too. So here's to a wonderful year of music. Raise your glasses or your microphones. Here's to many more good songs to stream in 2026. Happy New Year.